Do you have small hands? Well, I'm going to go through 5 of the best gaming mice for small hands. They're all under 120mm long, and we're going to work out which one is the best. First off is the Razer Orochi V2, a mouse that is just 106mm long, 62mm wide and 38mm tall. It's a mouse that's also wireless with removable battery and still lightweight, with it coming in at just 70 grams with the included lithium battery. The shape is eggish and is designed to be used for all grip types. On the sides there's some nice grooves to keep some of your fingers comfortable, and the curvature of the hump sits nicely against the very top of my palm. But it also has a pretty grippy coating, so it should keep it attached to your hands at all times. You get Razer mechanical switches rated for 60 million clicks on the mouse 1 and 2. These have honestly felt fantastic and very responsive for me, so I have no complaints about them at all. The side buttons are a bit small and hard to reach. I guess they are designed like this to keep the shape comfortable. And finally, you get a DPI cycle button at the top. On the underside, you get your power on 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth toggle, and 3 PTFE mouse feet that are well spread and really help give this mouse a nice smooth feeling on most, if not all, mouse pads. Not only that, but you're getting a pretty good sensor for this mouse with a modified Pixar 3335. It's a mid-range sensor, but compared to the top end, it won't really have an effect on gameplay. I think this is one that just has a higher lift-off distance compared to some others. This mouse is one of my personal favourites. It's a great mouse and I mainly use it as a backup. It's also got an incredible battery life with it, getting around 420 hours with the lithium battery that's included, as it's literally one contained thing with a USB dongle port inside it, and with the removable battery there are no cables needed at all, so you just walk around with an egg in your pocket. With its small size, it should be a great mouse for anyone with small hands. Personally, I've still been able to play games with it and have really enjoyed doing so. It's definitely kept up with my incredibly high standards with ease, but wait, because the shell is removable, you can also show how much you love the hit game Cyberpunk 2077 with its exclusive shell. Wow. Next up is the Cooler Master MM720, a mouse that is designed mainly for those with a claw grip, but can be great for those with small hands also. This mouse is just 105mm long, 76mm wide and 36mm tall, and it weighs an incredibly light 49 grams without the cable. This one does look a bit odd, but personally I have found it to be very comfortable. I'm able to use it with a palm grip despite it mainly being designed to be used with a claw grip, so if you have smaller hands this might actually be perfect for you. There's grooves on the right side of the mouse allowing for some snug positioning of your ring and pinky finger, and it is surprisingly comfortable. You get both glossy and matte variants, so you can just choose your favourite type of coating. However, the matte white version is still quite soft, so it's still possible that some people might find it a bit sticky and uncomfortable, but the holes in the mouse might provide a bit of extra ventilation. You get LK optical switches rated for 70 million clicks. These feel very good as well, considering they are a model that is less used in gaming mice. If it's optical, it normally means that it's just using light to detect the trigger, which means it should be more accurate and faster. The mouse is also IP58 rated. Granted, when I tried it about 9 months back it didn't work for 5 days afterwards, but as you can clearly see it's working now. The sensor is a PMW 3389 which supports up to 16,000 DPI. It's pretty much a high-end and flawless sensor, so it'll be very rare to have any issues with it. There are some pretty large PTFE feet on this mouse, helping it maintain a nice balance, and it's been super smooth on every pad I've used so far. On the underside of the mouse at the very bottom is the DPI cycle as well. As this is obviously a wired mouse, you get a paracorded cable that is incredibly lightweight. I don't use a bungee for cables like these to give them a good test, and it hasn't got in the way once. These types of cables are honestly great. Even though this mouse kind of looks like someone just got a lump of clay and slapped their hand in it, it's quite comfortable to use. I think those with smaller hands might find this a lot more comfortable regardless of their grip type. It's probably a bit of a gamble, but I'd say it's worth trying out. Next up is another egg, the Logitech G305. This one is a little bit bigger than the others, coming in at just 116mm long, 62mm wide and 38mm tall. It is also on the heavier side of things, weighing around 98 grams with the alkaline battery that's included. The shape here is a little bit more eggy, egg-shaped, eccentric compared to the Orochi. I also find it a bit uncomfortable. However, it is a bit longer, so that means it's more comfortable for my palm, and my fingers also don't dangle over the top. However, the sides are curved all the way to the base of the mouse, meaning that it causes my hand to get a bit stiff and uncomfortable. The coating for this one is a softer matte texture, so it might not be great for everyone as it can get a bit sticky. Much like the Orochi V2, this is also a completely contained mouse with no cables thanks to the removable battery. This is great for convenience and as a spare. The downside for this one though is the lack of PTFE feet, as you just get some icky standard plastic ones. This means that it's not as smooth and snappy when using it on my mouse pads in comparison to some of the others on this list. The extra weight also is a bit of a downside, making a small mouse feel exceptionally cumbersome to use. You're getting the Logitech Hero sensor as well, which again, like most of the sensors in every mouse these days, is pretty great. Its battery life isn't as great as the Orochi either, managing just 250 hours. But that's still pretty good anyway, and naturally if you get a better battery for it, it would last longer. I'm personally not a big fan of this mouse. The size just caused too much discomfort for me, as well as the extra weight and plastic feet just puts this as an inferior version of the Orochi for me. I guess you could say that this egg is rotten, cracked, scrambled. Please help. Next up, we have again another Razer mouse with the Razer Viper Mini, a very well received mouse with its small size of 118mm long, 61mm wide and 38mm tall, with it also weighing just 61 grams without the cable. The shape is a more universally friendly design, so for all grip types it should be great. This is very comfortable for my grip, although I naturally prefer the size of the full version of this mouse. It's got a nice coarse matte coating just like the Orochi, which really helps keep the mouse very comfortable against my hand. The switches for this mouse are using the Razer optical switch rated for 70 million clicks. I think that these are great, and I actually prefer them to the new 3rd generation versions that are featured on the V2 Pro, as they feel a little bit more consistent and crispy. For the sensor, you're getting a Pixar 3359, which is a great mid-range sensor, and again it will be fine. I think with this one, the lift-off distance is a bit high, just like the Orochi V2. Altogether, you're getting some good stuff on this: a nice lightweight cable, PTFE mouse feet, great shape and coating. This should be great for anyone that prefers a smaller mouse. Surely they'll make a wireless version of this mouse. The last mouse on this list is the Xtrify M42, one of the slightly bigger ones, with it being 118mm long, 62mm wide and 38mm tall, but still weighing a nice and light 59 grams without the cable. This is one of the bigger surprises for me, as Xtrify have brought out some incredible mice over the past couple of years, and this one is no exception. It's a slightly more universally friendly shape like the Viper, as it doesn't really force your hands into a certain position, but if you want to make some changes you can, thanks to the swappable back humps that are available. As you can see, that I clearly demonstrate that I take off one hump and simply replace it with the other hump that I totally still have and didn't lose somewhere. The coating is also a soft matte, so it can get a bit sticky, but with the high amount of holes placed around the mouse, it might get some much needed ventilation to your hands. You get an on-run switches rated for 20 million clicks. These feel nice and consistent, but a bit light compared to some others these days. On the top you get a it's the RGB light selection trigger button thing. On the bottom side you get the DPI cycle, and underneath that at the base of the mouse you get your polling rate slider. Not sure why the DPI is on the bottom and the light switch is on the top. The side buttons are also great, being well placed and nice and big, so they are easily accessible. With this mouse you get a great high range sensor, which is the same one as the MM720, the 3389. You also get PTFE feet on this mouse, as well as a very nice paracorded cable, which is super light and doesn't get in the way. This really is a fantastic small mouse. I really like using this one, probably the most out of all the others on this list, as it's just very comfortable, hassle-free and with a fantastic quality. There's also a wireless version of this one available as well. If I had to choose the best small gaming mouse from this list, I'd probably go for the Razer Viper Mini. It's just a mouse that ticks all the boxes for me. Which one is your favourite? And also I'm going to be putting another review on screen now that I think you'll also like.